Boom. Welcome to Pensar Basketball, and we got a special feature for you tonight. If you're on the East Coast, it's going to be hella late, but 12:45, we are going live right now. Cavaliers, Celtics post game, OKC Dallas post game. We're going to wrap this up in about 30 minutes, and then we're heading into another live in which we're going to talk about the Toronto Raptors. This is a Raptors podcast in general, which is delving into the rest of the playoffs because I've made a mission, and I'm on a mission to second of the playoffs. Every game, every possession, even if I have to rewind it, sometimes I'll watch these games twice. I want to learn. I want to learn so much about all these other players. I want to have a renewed appreciation for all the players in the league. If by the end of this season, in the offseason, going into the offseason, that I don't have enough knowledge about 450 to 500 players in this league, and that's my goal, to have thorough, like the back of my hand, know all 450 to 500 players in this league. It's my goal. And watching the playoffs, watching some of these players at least competing at the highest level has been very telling. So we're going to talk about those two games, and then we're going to go into a live at 1:15 a.m. talking about three players that the Raptors have to get this offseason. It's not players specifically, but it's player archetypes. But let's talk about these two games because we got a we got a response right from the Boston Celtics. So let's lay the groundwork. The Cleveland Cavaliers won by a larger margin. So the Cavaliers went into game two as a double-digit underdog. They won that game by more points than any double-digit underdog in playoff history, if I'm not mistaken. That was crazy. After the game, Jason Tatum had a sort of blasé attitude. We talked about it on this live. I said, don't worry about it. Jason Tatum is a pro. He's just being stoic about it. The Celtics will come out with a response. Exactly towards the end of the last live, someone asked me, what do you think is going to happen today? I said, I think the Dallas Mavericks are going to win if Luka plays, and I think the Celtics are going to win. The Celtics won, and the Mavericks won. And I got to tell you, both in convincing fashion, even though the margin of victory in the Mavericks game does not suggest that it was a convincing victory, it was a convincing victory. Let me show you what I mean. So the Dallas Mavericks win 105-101. Luka Doncic does not have a great game by his standards of efficiency. He did not have a great game. He was hobbled. I have a lot of respect for Luka Doncic as a competitor. That level of respect has only gone up this much more because of the way he has battled through injuries, battled through contact, battled through Lou Dort, effectively fouling him like 10 times every possession, right? And he is pushing through it, and he is helping his team. 7 for 17 is no one's idea of efficient. 1 for 4 from 3 is nobody's idea of efficient. But 15 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 22 points. He's competing, okay? He's not a great defender, but he's trying. He's trying his best, okay? And for a person who doesn't move very well laterally, I think he's doing better on defense than I've seen him do in the regular season, where he sometimes looks disinterested. Kyrie Irving was incredible, especially down the stretch when he caught fire. Like, he wasn't really looking for his offense early on, and that's to be expected. His second half numbers are always better than his first half numbers. But I thought he was a frigging, like, a maestro. He felt like he was on his own planet. He looked like he was, I don't know, doing some Uncle Drew commercials up in there, like he was incredible. Derek Jones Jr. didn't have a hot shooting night, but he did a lot to slow down Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And PJ Washington was second straight, great game. I think last game, I think he went 7 for 11 or 7 for 12 from 3. And this game, he goes 5 for 12, still a solid percentage from 3, shooting, above 40% from 3, and, 27 points. He's starting to come on like a third star. I heard the broadcasters comparing him to Klay Thompson. That might be a bit far, but man, he has been really good. And you know what? It is a committed and a combined effort, right? I thought Derek Lively was incredible, like really tough down the stretch. They played him. He's a rookie. He's a 20-year-old, 19-year-old rookie. And I thought it was incredible, the poise that he handled those free throws with. So they play Hack a Lively, right? And he misses a lot. I think he goes 1 for 2, and then he goes 0 for 2. And Jason Kidd's like, what do we do? Right. So they considered, maybe going away from playing large. And, they tried it for a couple possessions, and immediately you saw what that Dallas Mavericks defense looks like without right? Sorry. You see what that entire thing looks like without a rim protector in place. Now, I just want to say one quick thing. It is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, including my mom, who is in heaven. But someone else whose mother is in heaven is Derek Lively, who lost his mother on April 12th at the age of 53. I lost my mom at the age of 50. It's very tough, I can tell you. I was a wreck for years, months, especially after my mom passed away. I was 20 years old as well. I believe Derek was 19 when his mother passed away. For him to be playing in the playoffs the way he's playing right now, you know, the playoffs really show you who people are. These playoffs are showing me who Derek Lively is, and he's a hell of a competitor and a hell of a kid. And I think he's going to be a starting center in the NBA for a very, very long time. This 2023 draft just continues to get better and better. It's not just Wemby. It's not just, Jaime Jaquez. We are seeing Cason Wallace, Derek Lively, Jaime Jaquez, Victor Wembanyama, of course, didn't make the playoffs. Chet Holmgren, who was a previous draft class, but he was in the part of this rookie class. This might be one of the greatest rookie classes of all time. Really is up there. It's incredible. Um, Speaking of rookies, Chet Holmgren, on the other end, I thought he competed his butt off. His jump shot has abandoned him for the most part, but I thought he was just a revelation defensively inside. I think he's doing everything he can. Um, there's just not a lot that you can do, and there's so much size on the other end. But 13 points, goes 0 for 2 from 3, so he's kind of cooled that off. It was not uncommon this year to see Chet Holmgren go 3 for 7, 4 for 8 from 3, but that volume is going down a little bit, and they really need it to come back up. They need that. They need that third guy, especially because they're not really getting a lot from Josh Giddey, who I think probably had his best game of the series. That's not really saying very much. They have kept his minutes low for good reason, right? But when he does have the basketball, when he's on the court, he does need to be active, and I think he moved a little bit better without the ball tonight. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the 10 for 23 looks fine. Getting to the line 10 times, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 31 points. You're going to look at this and say, Shai was incredible. Shai was great. Shai was very, very good for a guy who played 42 minutes. He continued to have stamina. I wonder if he ran out of gas towards the end, because towards the end of this game, he missed a lot. And it was him, it was Jalen Williams, and the Oklahoma City Thunder, they punched very, very hard in that third quarter, and they got out to that 10-point lead. And it looked like, maybe it will swing their way, right? And I didn't believe it would. I believe that the Dallas Mavericks had control of this game, but there was this gap right there in which the OKC Thunder jumped out to 65-55. At which point, if you look at the win probability, it did very much peak in their favor to 81%. They were 81% likely to win that game at that point. And that is exactly the point at which the Dallas Mavericks put their foot on their necks. And, look, this is desperation time, right? The OKC Thunder fought very hard, tooth and nail, all year for home court advantage, and they have lost it. And you know what? They have one more game to get it back. But if they don't get it back, they're going to go back to OKC down 3-1 in this series. The Cleveland Cavaliers are also going to go back down, probably, to Boston down 3-1 in this series, unless they pull out a miracle out of their ass next game. But even if they don't go down 3-1, both of these teams are now down 2-1. And I just want to talk about how hard it will be to win 3 out of 4 games against a team that is objectively better than you. It is difficult. It's one thing for, the Boston Celtics last year to come back against, the Miami Heat. That's one thing, where you're the more talented team, you're the deeper team, you're the better team, and then you kind of come back. You come down and you push it to a game 7. That's one thing. But the stamina and effort that it takes, especially with short turnarounds, when there's 1 or 2 days, not when you have a 4-day gap like the Denver Nuggets did, but when there's 1 or 2 days in between, the amount of force and effort it takes to just get back into that series, it's going to be very tough. So I'm not pulling the curtain on OKC, but they needed this win. They desperately needed this win. They couldn't get it. They came up short, but not for a lack of trying. I think they played a really good game. I think they play very competitive. But at some point, you really do have to ask yourself, do you really believe that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams are better than Kyrie and Luka? Even Luka on one leg. Now, I want to talk very briefly about what is happening with these referees, bro. Just call it fair, okay? Define what a foul is, and if you're gonna pick and choose every single game to say, okay, well, this is a foul today, but it wasn't a foul yesterday, and this is gonna be a foul tomorrow, well, then just call it fair. You know, I don't understand how you can hit Luka Doncic 12 to 15 times in a 2-minute span and not get a single call, but if you just brush past Shai, it's a foul. Is like this goes so beyond star calls because these are both superstars. They're both top 3 MVP candidates. They're both really mega stars in the NBA. And in this case, Dallas was the home team here, and you gave Shai Gilgeous-Alexander every advantage with the whistle tonight. They literally touched him. He fell over. Boom, it's a foul. Right? I know he sells fouls pretty well. Okay. But he got the benefit of the whistle like very few players I've seen in my life. Maybe Kobe, Michael, to some extent, D Wade. Some of these guys, they get star calls. Yeah, stars are going to get star calls. But then call it fair both ways, man. Luka is playing, his heart out, and he's getting hit a lot. Lou Dort does not have a chance to guard Luka Doncic. Okay, let's just be real about this. Luka is way too clever with the basketball. It was one thing. I think Lou Dort got a lot of credit last year for his defense on Kawhi Leonard and shutting down several wings and whatever. And it's really one thing, physically, when you can stop a Kawhi Leonard, you do get a bit of a reputation as a super stopper. Anytime you can have success against, a really, really great player, like for instance, Asar Thompson, he turned the world's heads when he held Shai to a really, really low shooting night when he was guarding him one-on-one. And I think that when an individual defensive performance can take on that sort of mythical characteristic, you can start to overestimate what a player can really do against specific types of players. Rudy Gobert is a great defender. Draymond Green is a great defender. It doesn't mean that either one of them holds a candle if they're matched up against Jokic or Embiid. They cannot guard those guys, right? Anthony Davis is a great defender. He cannot guard Nikola Jokic either, right? Lou Dort is a great defender on Paul George. Lou Dort is a great defender on Kawhi Leonard. He might even be a great defender on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander if they were not on the same team. He's not guarding Luka Doncic. Like, let's just get real. I have seen this matchup. I studied the tape. I promise you, he can't stop him. He can't guard him. Okay? Like, there's no one in the league that can guard a healthy Luka Doncic. Maybe there are a couple players that can make it tough on him, but you need a lot of size, a lot of scouting, because he has a counter to a counter to a counter to a counter. He and Kyrie are the same in that way. There is no scouting report that they have not seen. There is no move that they don't have a counter for. They have endless bag of moves. They are so clever with the basketball. It's like Jalen Brunson, to a much higher degree. When you are this clever with the basketball, it's just a matter of patience. If you can give Luka Doncic 20 seconds against Lou Dort without a double, he will score on him almost every single time. Or he will get exhausted, or he will get fouled, or he will settle for a jumper. But if he wants to score, he's scoring. There's not a lot you can do about it. And it's pretty much the same thing with Kyrie Irving. So the Dallas Mavericks have an unstoppable duo. It is as unstoppable as it gets. And I'm not really sure which team in the league really has the firepower to stop this. I picked the Dallas Mavericks to go very far in the playoffs for this reason. Because unless this team self-implodes, they have the stars. They have the right stars to win a championship. This is their year. Like, mark my words, they will go very far. I mean, I've been saying this for a while now. I've been saying this for months, and they're going far, and I think they will go further. Whoever they face in the second round in the Western Conference Finals, I think they will push them pretty far. And frankly, if they get to the finals, if they are fortunate enough to get to the finals, I think the Celtics are going to have their hands full. If Kristaps Porzingis is not right, they will lose that series. The Dallas Mavericks are a very good basketball team. The Oklahoma City Thunder will be a great basketball team very soon. Scary, scary times ahead. If they keep that core intact, if they can get something of value for Josh Giddey, Cason Wallace, Jay Will off the bench, like all of their young pieces, if one of them develop, if they ever decide to cash in some of those poker chips that they have with the draft picks, this is a team that will sit atop the Western Conference for a decade. We've said that before about a different iteration of the OKC Thunder. And things can fall apart really quickly. Injuries happen, free agency happens, markets happen, etc. Small market, etc. It's going to be hard enough to keep those three players together because they're all going to be max players. If Darius Garland's a max player, then I got to tell you, Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams are max players. So how are you going to have three max players under this CBA in that market and not gut the rest of your team? They're going to have some very, very difficult questions ahead. And that might mean you can't keep Cason Wallace, because I'll tell you right now, the way that guy's playing, he's going to be a $25 to $30 million player. So the cost of success, I guess. But right now, the Mavericks are ready. They have a great band of role players, even without Maxi Kleber, with Maxi Kleber out, with PJ Washington stepping up the way he is, with the return of Tim Hardaway. I think they've been great. I think they will win this series in 6. I don't think it's going to 7. I think the Thunder will get, game 5 in OKC, but I think it's over in 6. Okay, that's my prediction. I'm probably wrong. I tend to be wrong about these things, but let's see. Okay, moving on to the second game, which happened, which is the Boston Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Boston Celtics go into Cleveland, and Donovan Mitchell is hype. And you can tell that he's feeling himself, and they're shorthanded for sure, without Jared Allen, but they were a little less shorthanded today because they got Dean Wade back. And Dean Wade, to those of you who do not watch Cavaliers games, is a really, really vital piece to what they do defensively, especially. And I thought that, he was very quiet today, working himself in. He played 17 minutes. He had 5 points. Let's take a look here. Evan Mobley, 17 points, 8 rebounds, 0 blocks, but that's not, a testament to how much, he deterred people from blocks are not everything when it comes to rim protection. Evan Mobley did a fantastic job tonight in terms of rim protection at times, right? I think offensively, he was a little bit tougher with the basketball, a couple of flushes, a couple of dunks, but tonight they really didn't get enough from those other guys, man. Darius Garland's 1 for 6 from 3, 6 for 15 points. It looks fine, but man, you're a max player. And I got to tell you, I'm not going to be one of those people that's going to shit on Darius Garland and say he's fucking up. He's not fucking up. He and Donovan Mitchell just simply occupy too many of the same spots in the basketball court, too many of the same possession types, too many of the same play types. And frankly, if Donovan Mitchell was not playing, they wouldn't have a chance in this series. But Darius Garland would be better if Donovan Mitchell was not playing. They just don't have a natural synergy. He did put his stamp on the game in game 2, and I think he had a really dominant second half in the game 2. That didn't come today. Max Strus, really just an inexcusable performance, really. But, he's a role player. What are you expecting from him? He's not a star. Isaac Okoro, 0 for 4 from 3. They've sort of lived with Isaac Okoro just taking shots, and a lot of teams have. And he's made them this year, but he doesn't scare a lot of teams, and you can sort of see why. Marcus Morris Sr. and Tristan Thompson continue to get minutes. Karis LeVert, I think he had some positive stretches. He was one guy who could really create a shot, get downhill. And, whenever the Cleveland Cavaliers did, make a run, and they did try to make it competitive because they did keep it close, they managed to stay pretty connected in this game. But just a heads up, they lost every single quarter of this game except for the fourth. And the fourth, they won by 2. I don't want to say it was like they got killed, but if the Boston Celtics wanted to win this game by 22, 25, they could have very easily. And I don't even think the Celtics had some great game. Jason Tatum, a little bit of a better game because he got to the line a lot more. But 33 points tonight was an encouraging sign for a guy who's really been struggling. Jaylen Brown, much more efficient with 28 points. He really put the team on his back several times. They still didn't get very much from their bench tonight. Peyton Pritchard hit a huge 3 when the game was sort of hanging in the balance a little bit, and it was like a little bit close. He was the guy who started that sort of like march towards the finish line. And, sometimes 3 points is not 3 points. We say that a lot on this channel. His 3 points was not 3 points. It felt bigger. Sam Hauser was fine tonight. I think Drew Holiday was just leading by example in terms of effort. It shows that he only had 2 offensive rebounds, but he was relentless in his pursuit of the basketball, in his toughness overall. I think he had a presence about him in this game. Al Horford got put into a lot of screen and roll, and they tried to get Donovan Mitchell onto him because they just don't trust the 37-year-old Al Horford is going to be able to guard Donovan Mitchell. And JB Bickerstaff is right. The Celtics are basically playing without a rim protector right now, and that's going to roll over very nicely into the conversation we're going to have about the Raptors at 1:15. So that's in 10 minutes. But I got to tell you, man, they desperately, desperately, desperately miss Rob Williams or Kristaps Porzingis, because without a rim protector in there, you're really putting a lot of pressure on Jason Tatum and Al Horford, neither of whom are mega shot blockers, and it is leaving like not enough behind your pressure. So the second you pressure, you leave the paint open. And when you put Al Horford into a pick and roll with, Donovan Mitchell, 27, 28 feet from the basket, and he has to switch onto him, well, guess who's not in the paint to grab a rebound? So Evan Mobley needs to be much more forceful in this series. I understand he's young. He's 22 years old. He's very slight of build. He's not Shaquille O'Neal. I get it, but he's still 7 feet tall, and he's still got a 7'4" with 7'5" wingspan, and he can be a lot more assertive than he's been. And they're going to need him to be next game. They're going to need Evan Mobley to do I don't want to put too much pressure on stats, but they're going to need like a 22, 25 rebound type of crazy gut check performance from him next game, where he's just a menace on the offensive glass. Like, they're going to need that type of performance. And, maybe they do need to play Tristan Thompson a little bit more, even though it kills you offensively, to have a negative spacer out there. Maybe you just need to relentlessly crash the glass, because again, the Celtics are a little bit compromised on the inside. They do make up for it a little bit because guys like Drew Holiday and Jason Tatum are such capable rebounders. Derek White is a pretty good rebounder on most nights. Like, they do rebound by committee, right? Jaylen Brown had 9 rebounds tonight. Like, they're very athletic. So you're not just going to completely wipe them off the floor, but the amount of pressure that you can put on them because of their lack of paint presence inside, I think it can open up corner shooters a little bit better. Donovan Mitchell, for his part, had a fantastic game tonight. He was pretty efficient, 12 for 22, 7 for 12 from 3, a lot of swagger. Led his starting lineup in plus minus, 33 points. I think there's not really much else he can do at this point, right? He is one man against 5 men. And I don't think they're going to. I think this series could be over in 5. I really do believe that. I mean, I said it last game. There is that one game that the Celtics will let go of. They always do, for whatever reason. They like to play with their food, whatever. But this is not a series that is going to be mega competitive. Last game be damned. I feel like last game the Celtics, shot a crazy, crazy percentage from 3. I think they shot, below 30% from 3, and that is not going to happen 2 times in a series. They were like, it took the anomaly of biblical performance proportions on both sides. The Cavaliers had to shoot like remarkably hot, and the Celtics had to be remarkably cold for that to happen. And then I think the Celtics just sort of gave up in the fourth quarter and said, okay, you're going to beat us by 5. You're going to beat us by 10. We don't have the stamina to come back from this. We'll get it back next game. Maybe if the Cavaliers were a different team, maybe if Jared Allen was playing, maybe if they had a little bit more, maybe if their role players can catch fire, maybe if Dean Wade can get, there's a lot of maybes. It's going to need all those maybes to line up. Maybe if Donovan Mitchell can just have like one of those games where he just puts up 50 and it overwhelms you, right? You have to start doubling him because he's so unstoppable or something. I don't know. But the gap in talent is so large between these two teams. So tomorrow we line up for New York versus Indiana and Denver versus Minnesota. Denver, Minnesota game 4, New York, Indiana game 4. We are edging closer and closer to the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. Of course, prior to the games tomorrow, there will be a draft lottery to determine the odds of the upcoming NBA draft to determine the positioning of the NBA draft. The Detroit Pistons are really hoping for some luck. The Toronto Raptors are potentially hoping for some luck. San Antonio is hoping for, perhaps a little French prospect to pair with their other French prospect. We shall see how everything rolls out tomorrow. We will be live at 2:30, probably 2:15 in the afternoon. Look for that notification. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And A202 saying Lou Dort straight up need Luca. Yes, he did. I cannot get over how horribly these playoffs have been called. Like, I know a lot of people are really relishing in this and they're saying, like, wow, it's so great. The physicality, I've been waiting for this my whole life. Yo, someone is straight up going to die on the basketball court. Like, there's physical, there's tough, and then there's inconsistent and mauling players. Okay. Nothing is to be gained by, like I grabbed the screen grab where like four guys were on the ground. Like, what are we doing here? This is not MMA. This is the hardwood. This is the playoffs. We're not trying to kill people out here. I understand all the concept of like, old school fans wanting some physicality and wanting guys to be put on their keister and whatever. But yo, man, these guys are not used to this. Like, they're not used to playing like this, and someone is going to die on the basketball court or someone's going to break their face. Like, Luca has hit the floor so many times. It is just remarkable to me that, and again, if it was consistent on both sides, if you're just letting everyone play, that's fine. But too often I have found the whistle to not be very consistent. There are times where a referee is allowing a guy to hold a player coming off a screen, like literally just grabbing the jersey, and it's happening right in front of the referee. And then the next play, that same player that was being held is being called for a brush foul, like because they grazed somebody's like butt or somebody's leg while they were taking a shot. Like, come on now, like, what are we doing here? Like, just call it fair. I can imagine why so many people are blowing up on the referees. The Nuggets blew up on the referees, Rick Carlisle blew up. Yeah, it's very frustrating. You're competing your ass off. You're trying to draw a charge. You're competing to get over screens, and they're calling everything on you, and they're not calling anything on the other side. It's just being, the inconsistency is insane right now. Anyways, 3 minutes away. I'm going to drink some water. We're going to get into that. Raptors live for sure. Hold on, just really quickly. Let's look at the team stats here. Whoops. Okay. Team stats real quick. Celtics versus Cavaliers. The Cavaliers did manage to sort of, managed to somehow get more shots up because they had fewer turnovers. So they took care of the basketball. A lot of isolation basketball will get you that. They shot better from the line. They didn't get to the line more, but they did shoot better from the line. They took more threes. They made almost as many threes. It's not like this was a crazy shooting night from the Boston Celtics. So how did they win? Well, ultimately, the Celtics shot better from two. That's kind of what it comes down to. And that's sort of remarkable that the Celtics defense is able to hold you to 43% when they don't really have a lot of rim protection. That is truly crazy to me. So this is just execution. I think toughness, a lot of gimmies. Players just need to be better, man. And I know that Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland are not like a seamless fit or anyone's ideal, pairing in terms of play style and whatever, but they got to be better. In terms of the Dallas Mavericks and the OKC Thunder here, Dallas took 10 more shots. They got to the line, largely because of the hack lively. They got to the line. They killed them on the offensive glass. There was a stretch where I believe the OKC Thunder had 2 offensive rebounds. The Dallas Mavericks had 15. The rim protection element was very much in favor of Dallas. Points in the paint, Dallas wins that matchup by 14, and that really is the game. That's the game right there. Dallas between Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford, they have so much athleticism and size in there. And as much as Chet is, doing his best out there, he's just one guy. And I just feel like they need to be a little bit better at the point of attack to help Chet out. But nevertheless, it was a fairly even game. Neither team led by more than 10. It stayed pretty even and connected. But if you watch this game, let me know in the comments, did you ever feel that Dallas was going to lose this game? Because I didn't. Anyways, hit subscribe, hit like, and if you're a Raptor fan, definitely go check the other live stream in 2 minutes because that's going to be a doozy. All right, talk to y'all later. Peace.